History is filled with tales of outlandishly wealthy figures. Gordon Bennett, for example, has made such an enduring impression on popular culture that his name has become an expression of astonishment, his fabulous wealth and extravagant lifestyle becoming part of our folklore. Yet curiously, the man widely considered to have been the richest in human history, by far, is virtually unknown outside West Africa. The enigmatic figure in question is one Musa I of Mali, more commonly known as Mansa Musa. Mansa is a title roughly translated as emperor in the Mandinka language of West Africa. He was the 10th Mansa of the medieval Islamic Mali Empire, which existed between the 13th and 16th centuries. Our knowledge of his life is primarily derived from Islamic scholars, most notably Ibn Khaldun. The Mali Empire was one of the largest pre-colonial African empires, and the dominant power in West Africa at that time. At zenith, the empire spanned nearly 1.3 million square kilometres between the Atlantic coast of modern Senegal and the cities of Timbuktu and Gao in the east. The empire was the largest gold producer in the world. Professor Richard Smith of Ferrum College, Virginia, estimates its mines produced around a ton of the precious metal each year, constituting over half the world's gold production during the period. Naturally, the Mali Empire, and its rulers in particular, grew enormously wealthy as a consequence. Mali also boasted over 50% of the world's salt production. Now you might be thinking, why does that matter? But due to its relative scarcity in the area, salt was actually a highly precious commodity in West Africa at the time, and in fact it saw regular use as currency. Even in the context of such affluence, Mansa Musa would prove to be the wealthiest of his line. Modern inflation-adjusted estimates of his wealth are truly mind-boggling, ranging from $400 billion to claims of over $4.6 trillion in today's money. The upper estimates simply assume Mansa Musa was wealthier than Augustus Caesar, who held assets amounting to a fifth of Roman GDP at the time, including personally owning Egypt. Mansa Musa came to the throne in mysterious circumstances, after his predecessor, Abu Bakr II, took several ships on an apparent voyage of discovery into the Atlantic and did not return. Born in circa 1280, Mansa Musa's quarter-century reign lasted between around 1312 and his death in circa 1337. He came to be known as the Lion of Mali, presumably due to his military exploits. Most notably, he conquered several cities from the neighbouring Songhai Empire, including Timbuktu and Gao, taking two of the Songhai Emperor's sons as hostages in the process. It was said that he could field an army of up to 200,000 men, though this is presumably an exaggeration. We can take it as evidence of his military clout in the region. He would have used his military to maintain control of lucrative trade caravan routes, which stretched through the Sahara as far as Egypt, as well as policing the strategically important Niger waterway, which flowed through the centre of his empire. The most notable event of his reign, as well as the best illustration of his unfathomable wealth, was his 4,000-mile pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324. If we'd have been there at the time, we would have seen mounted heralds dressed in fine silks and carrying golden staves, leading an army of 48,000 men and 12,000 slaves, the latter of which supposedly each carried 1.8 kilograms of gold. This opulent cavalcade was joined by an 80-strong camel train, with each animal carrying up to 136 kilograms of gold dust. Setting out from his capital in Niani, in modern-day Guinea, he passed through modern-day Mauritania and Algeria, before eventually reaching Cairo. It was there, in July 1324, that he visited Al-Nasir Muhammad, the Mamluk Sultan of Egypt, before continuing on his way to Mecca and Medina. Mansa Musa gifted gold to the poor he encountered on his journey, as well as presenting large sums to the city of Medina and Cairo. He also traded gold for trinkets and souvenirs, yet his penchant for charity ultimately caused such an inflow of gold within the region that its price collapsed, severely damaging the economies of Cairo, Medina and Mecca, and causing the price of goods to inflate considerably. Realising the destructive effects of his generosity, he tried to rectify the situation by borrowing vast quantities of gold, as much as his camel train and slaves could carry, from Egyptian moneylenders at very high interest rates. In spite of this, gold prices took over a decade to recover. On his return to Mali, he brought back with him numerous architects and intellectuals in the hope of enriching the material and intellectual life of his empire. Most were Arabs, though he also persuaded some Moorish Andalusians present in Mecca at the time into his service. These architects were put to work in the construction of a new palace, He also put his wealth to use by constructing numerous mosques, particularly in Timbuktu and Gao, leading to fanciful claims that he built a new mosque weekly. Mansa Musa I was also a patron of the arts, notably commissioning the University of Sankore Madrasah, a centre of Islamic learning. This was an institution which supposedly boasted 25,000 students in a library containing up to 1 million manuscripts, which would have made it one of the world's largest at the time. Sadly, his mighty empire fell into financial ruin only 2 generations later due to the presumably monumental profligacy of his heirs. I hope you found this short episode interesting. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed it.